Hello, everybody. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Corey.
Every week we discuss and review a new book, movie, album, TV show, or honestly any piece of art or culture that ourselves and you guys choose. This is Mind Control. So there was these people who were being kidnapped and mind controlled.
Exactly, dude. And I can totally see how that happened. Because, imagine if you were just given acid or just drugs like that are so disorienting for hours and hours on end and never being able to come down and not feeling safe and having somebody tell you things and accuse you of things, you know? Yeah.
Mind control. That's how we do it, baby. GG's. Mind control.
On this week's episode of Mind Control, we're going to be discussing Father John Misty's 2017 album, Pure Comedy.
And on next week's episode of Mind Control, we're going to be watching and discussing the classic movie, The Wizard of Oz.
Father John Misty, aka Josh Tillman, is an American singer-songwriter famous for his biting commentary and witty lyrics. He grew up in a religious home where he eventually broke free to pursue his love of music. The father in his name comes from his upbringing. He has said before that he considered being a priest before music because he was interested in the performance aspect of it. Before performing under the Father John Misty moniker, he originally released music as just J. Tillman, which was largely overlooked. Tillman then went on to release his debut album as Father John Misty, entitled Fear Fun, on April 30th, 2012. 3 years later, on February 9th, 2015, he released his second album, entitled I Love You, Honey Bear. The album was a huge critical success and ended up on the list of best albums of 2015. The album deals with love as its central concept, and much of it dealing with his wife, Emma Tillman. 2 years later, on April 7th, 2017, Father John Misty released Pure Comedy. This album deals with everything from the creation of man to our growing obsession with relevance to our increased reliance on technology, and finally, with the inevitable fall of man as a species. This is Pure Comedy. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Mind Control. This is Corey.
Hey, and I'm Mikey.
And today we're gonna be looking at Father John Misty's 2017 album Pure Comedy. All right, let's just jump into it, because this is actually I love him already. So this album, when it came out, I was fucking all over it. Like, I love this shit. I think we saw him twice for this tour, so I love this album. You know, and it's every time I revisit it too, it's crazy how much more realistic it's gotten. Like it's like so prophetic. Like, everything it's saying is slowly actually like coming true, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when
every year I revisit it.
Or go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, every time I revisit it, it seems to be more true than it was before. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I remember I read something, or I saw an interview where he talked about how literally how the Pure Comedy video came out was, I think, 2 days after his inauguration, or a few days after Donald Trump's inauguration. And he talked about how, like, it was totally random that he made the album, and talked about, like, what do they say? He's saying Pure Comedy, the title track, I mean, especially, he says something about you hired these goons to, some shit like that.
Here we go. I got it right here, actually. You elected these goons to rule you.
Exactly, that part. And
where did they find these goons they elected to rule them?
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and he just talked about how, like, it was just a line he wrote, and then, like, it became so fucking real after Donald Trump got elected, and that he just, like, had to include the video of his inauguration in the music video, because he said it just felt like he just had to. Like, it might have taken away.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember. So to kind of talk about what I thought of the album.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it, but also hated it, because it was such a, like, the greatest art that you can experience is one that makes you think and second guess everything. And that's exactly what this fucking album, I don't know if it made me second guess everything, but it made me remember how much I did second guess everything, because this album totally reminds me of how I felt from my whole fucking life. And as I researched it more, I started realizing, me and this dude have a lot in common, low-key. Like, he was the son of a pastor, right?
Yeah.
And he's very religious, grew up very religious. And I saw interviews of him talking about how he just, like, grew up in church and saw people speaking in tongues, and all this other type of shit, and how he just grew up thinking that these people are fucking crazy. Like, what the hell is this? Like, it makes no sense, and just that idea. And I didn't really know how to articulate it when I was young, but it's just beautiful. This album totally articulates it and kind of reminded me of like just a lot of dark shit that I used to think, and I still think and know for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't know about no, but I still think, but I don't know. I guess
you
choose
just
to not focus.
you don't
on
really
it.
think of you don't focus on it every day. I felt the same way though listening to it again, like especially listening to it all fucking like last week and the week before, kind of just like constantly. I was like, damn, like it is really, really bleak and depressing, and it sucks because it's so true. That it's kind of like fuck, like
Yeah,
like
I know.
it's not depressing for depressing's sake. It's like shit. Everything he's saying is so true. And me and Frank can talk about that with him too. That he, like you said, he has a way of putting things and ideas into words that I've had, but I could never really express that way. Like he puts, the way he puts his ideas down, it's pretty crazy. Because the whole first song alone, which we could just get into, it's right here. Yes. What was I saying?
These are the whole first song.
Oh yeah, dude, the whole first song alone, like it literally spans like everything from like the creation of man, like which is a pretty crazy scope to have for an album, like let alone just like the first song, like starting at the beginning of man and moving through it, and it's like it's funny and sarcastic, and it's just I don't know, it's just there's just something. He just has a way with words, I fucking love it,
dude. And that's so. Let me like say that this album totally like what I texted you yesterday, like fuck this album, because it legit was just like fucking with my head, like legitimately fucking with my head, to a point where I was like just getting very nihilistic in my approach to everything I was doing throughout the day, and like my state of mind. And it got to a point where I was like, oh man, I low-key don't know if I should listen to this like continuously, because I listened to it like fucking almost like 10 times, dude, the last week. And it was just it's low-key reminding me of how Jim Carrey talked about. And the whole album was such a great choice by you to do after the Jim Carrey episode.
Dude, I didn't even realize when I'd picked it until we were like getting into it. I was like, oh shit, like this is like follows up on that on those ideas,
It feels like it's at the same time. Like the book takes place at the same time this album takes place. It's just two different perspectives in a way. Two different which is wild. But
because this Father John Misty's is I feel like a lot more bleak than Jim Carrey's. Even though Jim Carrey's does have that bleakness, it had a little bit of like, I don't know,
a little bit of hope,
some sort of
spirit.
hope. Yeah,
there was a hopeful aspect to it.
Yeah, because this album, I feel like if you were to take it literally to like everything and like live by it, like there would be kind of no point.
That's exactly what it is.
But I don't want to get into it because it's the last song. But like, I love the last song. I guess we'll just get into that later. But the album is so bleak that, what I was saying.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely super intense as far as like emotion and concept. But on top of this crazy ass like idea and concept about the morbidness of humanity and the basically pure like meaningless of humanity in a sense, it's not only is that such a huge fucking deal, but does he do it so well and express and talk about it so well, but he's fucking amazing at writing music. not just lyrics, but the fucking songs are fucking. It's like it is literally like movie music. Like this, it's like all-time great music, Elton John, Beatles-esque music. Like this album to me, beyond the message that it is, the melodies and the rhythms and the everything about it.
So
fucking
his songwriting,
great.
He's a great songwriter, and he even like talks about it in like some of the songs, I like how he talks about in like Leaving LA, like I never learned to play the lead guitar. I always preferred the speaking parts, but like the way he does the speaking parts, and just because he does play guitar and shit, and the way he just does it, it's like very simple, but at the same time, it's fucking. It's he's really good, That's what it is.
It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I don't even know what to describe it as. But
You want to
yeah,
hear
he's
what I
able
described
to-
it as?
Yeah.
So I had a few little one-liners, right? This is just like my first listen notes. I put it sounds
love
like evil Toy Story music.
Okay.
I love how every song ends with a depressing line. What did I put? This sounds like Bob Dylan had an existential crisis. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
There was a part in one of the interviews that he said. There's just a part. Maybe I don't know if it's worth bringing up now. It's not, but it's here, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's
Bring it up now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he was talking about just entertainment and how entertainment basically is like what we use to distract ourselves, and little do we know that it's like basically like I was getting like basically it's like a curse, like it's killing us at the same time. He said we entertained ourselves into him becoming our president. We were so entertained the whole time, nobody took it seriously, and we entertained ourselves into Donald Trump becoming our president. Yeah, it was just a wild ass like notion. I had
Yeah, I mean, it's like the let's see, is it the second? Where's the check? The second song, total entertainment forever. Like that is like what it hasn't fully become yet, but that song is so accurate onto what it is becoming. Where it's like you're just like even I think we talked about Jim Carrey too. It's like you always, no, maybe we didn't actually, but you always need to be distracted. Like people always want. Like, I love to sit on my fucking couch and watch TV, Like, I love doing that shit,
Yep.
I love sitting and, like, looking at my phone when I have nothing to do,
Yep.
So it's like, I see it happening, and you know what's happening, and you can't stop it because we don't know how to be bored,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like we don't know how to be, it's almost, I don't know, like he said, it's a gift and a curse because it's almost like, I don't want to say dehumanizing, but it almost takes away the emotion because, like, if you're sad, go watch a movie. You like don't stop and feel your sadness. Don't stop and feel this. Like, go do something, entertain yourself. Like you only feel like that because you're bored. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's big implications there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but
should we go through the tracks?
Yeah. Let's start out with pure comedy, dude. Right from the beginning, dude. The comedy of okay. First of all, too, I love that it's called pure comedy, and it's almost like an ancient like Greek tragedy and Greek comedy. Like I feel like I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be. Because he brings up Ovid, who wrote like Greek. He wrote the fuck. What's it called? The Pantheon or something. Or shit, I have all these notes about it too. I don't even know where they are right now. Let's see. Give me 1 second.
Well, what I can
go
say,
ahead.
what's in my notes as far as the pure comedy intro was, I wrote down specifically, our brains are way too big for our mother's hips. And that,
Oh, dude.
that line right there kind of like not only speaks to the track, but the whole album, low-key. Like our brains are too small for this life that we've been given, and that's the whole concept of the album. And I love that he hits it right on the head at the beginning of the album, which is kind of a wild ass fucking thing to do. And
yeah,
when I first listened to the album this last time, like I had listened to pure comedy a lot. Like when I went back to watch the video, I remembered, oh shit, I was really fucking into this, because I remember you were telling me about him and about Coachella, and I was going to Coachella. And I knew that I was like, I like this dude. Let me get into him. I got into the pure comedy music video a lot, and I'd watch it quite a bit. And I was looking forward to seeing him, but you know how Coachella it is. And my experience of seeing him was like fucked up walking by the main stage and then turned to the right. And what my memory of it was this fucking priest, and I don't think he performs and dressed as a priest, but who knows what drugs I was on. But this is how I remember it. I remember
no, he normally wears like a suit. Yeah.
Not like a priest, like a preacher suit.
No,
okay.
no.
I pictured a dude with a fucking white thing right here, like a preacher, right? This is like my fucking weird memory of it, and probably how many drugs I was on. But I fucking went, and he was doing. I feel like I remember him doing pure comedy, but he ended with it. And the set that I watched, go ahead.
Yeah, that was that year. Yeah, that was that year this came out. So
Really?
that was probably it.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that was when you guys went the week after us, right?
Yeah. So the set that I
Yeah,
watched was the week that you went then, when he started with Pure Comedy, right?
Yeah, I think he started with Pure Comedy
Okay.
for my weekend.
For the first
yeah.
year. Okay. I got confused. But yeah, so he was ending with it, and it was fucking amazing, dude. Monica's not like into that, all that, type
Yeah.
of shit, but she was like, wow. Like we were just sitting there like, I fucking wanted more, but unfortunately that was the last track. So that was my idea of what Pure Comedy was. I have a very fucking, I really like that song, and I have since then. And the music video is amazing.
Yeah.
And
he's a amazing live, dude. Like so good live. And I'm at Coachella. He didn't really do any talking, but the times I've seen just him, like he talks in between, and he's just. You could tell the dude's just really fucking smart, and it's super funny. Like, it's just like his lyrics, it's very like witty, and he'll like play with the crowd and shit. And like, I remember these two dudes got in a fight and during his set, and then he like stopped the set and was like, oh, like, I know my music really gets the blood pumping and gets the testosterone flowing. He's like, but can we just calm down? But it was so fucking funny, like he just and then he did like a Q&A at the end of his set where he let people were asking questions, and like it was really cool. He's really good though live. But dude, this song, I guess, back to the song. And what you were saying, dude, just the way it starts. The Comedy of Man starts like this, and then with our brains are too big, and then I love the we emerge half formed and hope whoever greets us on the other end is kind enough to fill us in, because it's crazy to think about, which you don't really ever think about, that like, dude, you're brought into this world and you're taught these things by whoever brought you into this world, and that's kind of all you really. That's all you really have. Like it's all luck and chance. You're lucky if you're born with somebody who's gonna take care of you, and actually show you and fill you in. But even what they're filling you in is just, you just hope for the best. Like, because no matter what, everybody's different. So there's no really right answer either. We're all just being filled into the best of our ability, and then just thrown out into the world,
Exactly. So what I'm understanding you're saying is that basically we're born and we have these influences and things that we learn from people and things around us and our upbringing, and that just somehow creates this idea of who we think we are, right? That's basically
like
the
how we
idea
talked
of
about
the ego.
Yeah,
right?
I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So what I've been kind of contemplating is like, how come like monkeys don't have egos, but we do? And there was this, why? Maybe they do, or maybe they have consciousness. Maybe we're thinking more of consciousness rather than ego. Maybe there's a confusion, like
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because monkeys are pretty fucking.
I think
smart,
I'm thinking consciousness. I think I'm thinking consciousness.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're conscious though, because they're not. They're still acting. They're still mostly nature. They're mostly acting out in natural terms. Like, I feel like consciousness is like
this idea to question.
This idea that we can question things.
Yeah.
That
Maybe that's that barrier of the ego that we can low key break because we are conscious, right?
Yeah, dude, and the weird idea that we can know things. Isn't that such a weird concept? Like, I remember, why? What makes us think we can know things? Like, I mean, there's a couple songs in here that deal with some of this shit. I feel like even more so,
Yeah, for sure.
But is there any other lines? I mean, I feel like this whole song I could have quoted, because this whole song is amazing. Like, the half of us are periodically iron deficient. Like that shit's just funny, Like,
it's like something that a madman would conceive. What does he say? The only thing that seems to make them feel alive is the struggle to survive. But the only thing that they request is something to numb the pain with, until there's nothing human left, just random matter suspended in the dark. I hate to say it, but each other's all we've got. The whole fucking song is a quote, bro. You could just do the whole song. It's wild that he does his live so well too. It's so fucking beautiful.
And I totally forgot to bring this part up. I love the way he talks about religion, and how he says their religions are the best. They worship themselves, yet they're totally obsessed with risen zombies, celestial virgins, magic tricks. And then I like when he says they get terribly upset when you question their sacred texts written by women-hating epileptics. It's Dude, and then right after that, too, their languages just serve to confuse them, and their confusion somehow makes them more sure. I think that's like what I was talking about earlier, about how we feel we can know things. Because we have language, and you name something, we feel like that's what it is. But I read somewhere that that's why we don't ever experience anything fully, because we're trying to, we instantly label it, so we don't ever experience the real essence of it, because that label was made up, and it coincides with an idea that we already have in our brain of what it should be,
Yep.
Yeah, which is like, dude, which goes to that. Like, the language just serves to confuse them, and somehow this confusion of language makes us more sure that, there is more, which is weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's so fucking
man
weird.
Yeah, dude, this whole song is
I feel like the album and it was like, it's hard to wrap my mind around such deep fucking philosophical questions and concepts. Like,
it is.
Like, I'm not equipped to deal with it, and it fucking was like fucking almost had a panic attack at work, like listening to this fucking album so much. I was like, fuck, man.
Nah, dude, yeah, for real. It does really pose like really deep questions that are like they're kind of hard to even like sometimes, like, even for this, dude, I've listened to this album since it came out, and I felt like when I was really listening, going through it, I was picking up like things. I was able to wrap my head around it better now, but it took a long fucking time for me to even put into words. Like, and I still feel like I suck at it, because that's why it's like a trip to me that he puts them into these songs, and it's like I can barely ask the question out loud, just normal, in a normal way, and he poses the question to you in this artistic, poetic way that makes you, I don't know, man. It does fuck with you, especially this album, because it's this song, dude. And actually what I was trying to say earlier, which I fucked up, about Ovid, he mentions them in another song, but he wrote the Metamorphoses, and it's like starts at the beginning of time, and then it has like the creation of the gods and all that bullshit. And I feel like, I don't know if that's what this is, but this is what this reminds me of, like, it's just like, because he starts at the beginning, and then we'll go into the second song right now if you're good on this
I'm
one.
ready.
Yeah, he starts in the beginning, and then we go to like, I feel like now, present time, or maybe a little bit in the future, which is total entertainment forever, which is the way we're heading, like all the time, right now, fast this, it has to be now, and it's like, it's crazy. This song, I love this song. The song's funny. It's weird that it's funny, because it's pretty sad too.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to that's the hope. It's funny, but it's sad. That's the hope. That's the album is pure comedy. That's what literally he probably wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this is morbid is like dark but funny, right? Like, that's the definition.
Morbid's just kind of dark, but it could be, I mean, that's a good word though. It is morbid,
Yeah, morbid is, I thought it had some sort of like a funny aspect. That's what morbid means. I thought morbid means
could
like,
be
like dark, but also a funny part, like slightly funny.
Yeah.
But no, it's fucking, it's wild. I like how he talks about Taylor Swift and every night in the Oculus Rift. I don't want to quote that. I just wanted to bring that up because that shit was fucking hilarious. I thought it was a super funny and also depressing ass line. Like, to think that in the future, I'll even say it, betting Taylor Swift every night inside the Oculus Rift after Mr. and Mrs. finish dinner and the dishes. That's fucking wild. That's a very fucking futuristic, depressing idea of a night.
Yeah, that you could be married, and then you just you eat together, but then you go in separate rooms and just fuck people. That and maybe they're not. It's not real, but you still, it's the idea of it. Like, it is pretty fucking weird.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. I have and now the future's definition is so much higher than it was last year. It's like the images have all become real. It's like someone's living my life for me out in the mirror. And it just reminded me of like our obsession with watching other people, like we do, like, most of us would choose watching other people than actually doing these things that we watch other people do, Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's like what the future is right now. That's literally why YouTube and vlogs and reality TV and stuff like that
Truman
are kind
Show
of thriving. Yeah. It's because people are more drawn to realistic shit, and they don't even understand why. They're just like, but yeah.
It's that Truman, baby.
That's goddamn right. I fucking was hearing Jim Carrey in my mind the whole fucking album. Or I was seeing him. I was visualizing a lot of the same visuals that I pictured in the book while I was listening to this album. Like when he talks about all the, fucking apocalyptic type of a setting. It was literally the same visuals I was seeing when I was reading the book that I was hearing throughout this album. Like there's parts of this album that sound like an apocalyptic Earth. It just sounds like
dude,
it.
yeah.
It's like almost like a soundscape for a lot of the end of this album, and it sounds like death. It sounds like destruction and death and the end of the world. That's how it sounds. And then
No, it does. It does. It's very it does have that sound, like the Pure Comedy song alone. It sounds like. Have you seen the cover? You've seen the cover, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of the
Yeah,
album?
like it sounds. Yeah, it sounds like that. Like all the chaos, just random chaos,
Yeah.
like. Oh, dude, we'll get into the album cover. I wrote some notes down about it. I was like going all through it. But yeah, man, it does. It sounds like the soundtrack to the end,
Yep. It totally
And I'm
does.
telling you, dude, every time I revisit it, every year, it's more realistic and more of it has come true,
Yep.
But I love the rich or poor. The channels are all the same too. Like it doesn't matter like how much money or how famous you think you are. We're all fucking like. We're all into. I think we're all trying to be entertained, and we all have the same vices. Like it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Maybe if you're rich, yours are on a more extravagant level. But it's all the same. It's honestly, it's kind of what he talks about in the song later. Bigger paper bag. Like if you're rich and famous, like the only difference between you and that bum on the corner with a brown paper bag is that you have a bigger paper bag and people may not see your addictions or your vices because you might hide it better. But that's really the only difference. We're all the fucking same. We all want to be entertained and numbed and not alone and not bored and not this,
And I think
it's
I think he's speaking on it low key, like in a sense that this is the way that it's over. It ends. This is our end because we entertain ourselves into our own destruction. It's just so wild.
We're entertaining ourselves into oblivion. It's like it's gonna be like what the song. Let's see. At the very end, when the historians find us, we'll be in our homes, plugged into our hubs, skin and bones, a smile on every face. As the stories replay, this must have been a wonderful place. And I love that too. Like, like we're going to be smiling. So it's going to be like, oh yeah, it was great. But like, how great is that?
Dude,
I've just fucking died.
I've gotten so deep, not like so deep, not necessarily research wise, but just like thought wise of, damn, there's legitimately a really big chance that there have been multiple societies that have thrived and gotten to this point technology wise and have just gone extinct and we don't even know it. And we could just be another fucking cycle that is very close to our demise.
Dude, tell me why. I swear to God, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I had this exact conversation with Frankie. I was talking about, I was talking about this, and I was like, it really makes you think, like, exactly that. Like, why do we think that there's never been anybody that these civilizations in the past, that there's none that we have no idea about that made it very far? Or like even like I mean, probably not them because there's a little more evidence, I guess, but like even Mayans, Aztecs, like nobody was around back then. Who's to say how advanced certain societies were that are now just gone? And like, why are they gone? We all like, we think plague or this or that, but it's like you said, what makes us think that there hasn't been a society that's made it this far and this is our downfall? And what makes us think that our government and our way of life is so perfect that it's not liable to succumb and completely topple in on itself? I feel like we're in America, especially, we're all so goddamn comfortable with the way of our life that we have this inflated idea that it can never crash no matter how bad it gets. Like even when the COVID happened, I remember in the back of my mind thinking, oh, you know what? Everything's probably going to bounce back. Everything's going to bounce back. Because it's like you're almost like conditioned to think that. And it's weird to think that now. I'm like, what's to say this isn't the fucking end? What's to say that this is not the beginning of the end? And in 20 years time, he says that in one of the songs. Yeah, and then there's another song where I have it written down. I forget which one it is, where he says, I think it is that one.
Yeah.
That in 20 years or so, where he said, I read in 20 years that the human experiment will all come to its violent end, you know. And I was like, dude, like, yeah, like what's the thing that it's not going to?
2037.
All right, you called it, dude. But honestly, like, you know, to see how much has changed since this album's come out already, it's like, fuck, dude, that's not too far off to think then, you know, because so much has changed in 3 years. Like, that's 17 years still. Like, I mean, not to say that he's exactly correct on the year, but like, I could see it being totally worse in 17 years, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything's really improving. It's just getting shittier.
It's fucking wild, dude. What you're talking about as far as like we're so conditioned to just think everything is okay, and especially in America. And this is why I repost shit on my Instagram of dogs being eaten by cheetahs.
No.
Okay? So that's what I do. Okay? So
bro, I like that post, and I didn't even watch it. And then I was just like, because sometimes I'll do that, and I'll be like, like I'll watch it in a little bit, you know, like I'll just like it because I saw
what's up, showing love. That's right.
Yeah. And then fucking Frankie, when I got home, she's like, "Why did you like that post?" And I was like, "What post?" And then she's like, "Mikey's." And I was like, "What was wrong with it?" I was like, "I thought, dude, I swear to God, I thought like it was like, oh, the cheetah was gonna crawl in and cuddle with the dog." So that's why I was like, wasn't it just like the cheetah and the dog like bonding? She's like, "No, the cheetah ate the dog." And I was like, "No fucking way." And then I clicked back on and I was like, "Oh my God." I thought it was all cute. I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Oh yeah, he did."
Yeah. Did you see my reply? I made a little rebuttal.
I forgot with Jane, yeah.
It was but look, I think what I did wrong was for people who listen to the podcast, I mean, I guess you could get the story without me even having to tell it from what we just said. But I don't know. I follow those pages, like I said in the little message, like I follow those pages because I like that. I like seeing nature, and it's not necessarily dogs being. That's one of the craziest videos I had ever seen, especially on that thing. So, but I don't know. I just thought I'm into that shit because I think it's a very fucking good reminder. Like I said, that we're just fucking weak human beings. I like it, but I shouldn't have forced everybody with no context to see it. I shouldn't.
It was quite the scandal, bro. I was telling him, I was like, shit, I think I need to find a new co-host. They're going to tear this man apart.
I was like, how these fools, how are my own Instagram followers going to try to cancel me over a fucking repost? Like, come on, I didn't fucking kill this dog, and it wasn't even killed. It was fine.
You should have said my cheetah needs to eat. Nah, dude. Yeah. I know. I was like, oh my God. I was like, he's a PR nightmare.
Oh, that was fucking wild, bro. I had people say who I made like Alyssa Marie. She makes tracks. She was hitting me up. She why the fuck would you post this? And then like other people saying like, dude, why? Like, oh my God, I was so shocked. Like, what the fuck? Whatever. But you always swing, and sometimes you hit the ball, sometimes you miss. I'll say that. But at least I'm swinging out here. Shit.
Yeah, swing away, bro.
That'd be a good movie to do. Signs?
Yeah, that'd
be tight.
Might have to. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Oh, dude. Actually, I like this line too. Not bad for a race of demented monkeys from a cave to a city to a permanent party.
Dude.
And I was like, damn, that's a crazy. Yeah.
Why is that the first quote thing that I wrote from that track too? We always write down the same fucking lyrics. It's so wild.
Hey, we're that good. That's why, bro.
That's goddamn right.
Two peas, one pod, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I love that line. And then I also think he's like, maybe not. But he references the cave, and there's this thing by Plato called The Cave. Plato's that philosopher, and the cave is like so everybody lives in this cave, so nobody's ever seen the sun, so they live in dark. So a man actually goes out and sees the sun and wants to come back and tell everybody, but because he's been out in the sun, he comes in and he's blind in the cave, and the people don't want to come out of the cave because they're blind because they've always been in the dark. So they don't even want to see the light because they've always been in the dark, you know? And it's like, it's pretty interesting, you know? I don't know if that's what he's talking about in this exact part. Nah, but yeah, so the Plato's cave is like interesting, you know? It's an interesting concept, you know, because it's true, like you're in the dark so long, like why would you see the light if it's going to blind you, you know? Like it's, yeah, I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't know if that's what he means, but that's what I thought of when he says race into demented monkeys from a cave to a city. But he also could mean just literally from a cave because, like, cavemen, you know, to a city, to a permanent party. That's true. But either way, like, the permanent parties, that's where we're headed, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Permanent party. That's just literally another way of saying overstimulation, being too entertained. Exactly what we've just been saying.
Total entertainment forever. Yep. Great. So do you have anything else?
Nope, not on that one.
So this next song is actually, I think, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it was my favorite for a long time. Things that would have been helpful to know before the revolution. And I think this song is just it's another like pure comedy. Like the scope of it is crazy. I love that it starts with the fall of the life that we know, like because it goes pure comedy at the beginning, and then I'll just take it. It goes pure comedy is like the beginning of man, and then total entertainment is like this future, and then I feel like this song follows it, and it's like the fall of, you know, because that's so bad that, what does he say? Where is it? It got too hot, and so we overthrew the system. And then I just like that the song, literally, like the first verse goes through how we started a revolution, and then the second verse, it like goes more into that and how we've gotten into this, like we've changed everything so much that things are actually beginning to change, because he says the temperature started dropping, the ice floes began to freeze. And then the third verse, I love that the third verse is, now the revolution's happened, things are actually getting better, but our way of life is so destroyed. And I love that he starts talking about how now that things are settling down, he's starting to get a bit restless because there's no one advertising to us constantly. And then he talks about how some nights have meat and dancing if you don't mind gathering and hunting, but now it's a much harder way of life. And even though the world has gotten better, it's like now he's kind of saying, I'm kind of bored. And then it ends with, there are visionaries among us developing products to aid us in our struggle to survive. And it's like, I love that this song is literally like the end, the fall, the revolution, and then how after the revolution, people are kind of so dumb and conditioned that we'd probably all be like, well, fuck, I guess the old way of life, you know, I kind of miss it. It was so much easier and convenient for me. And then I love how it starts over again. Like he's kind of showing how, because I think he said something about it before. Actually, it's in the notes. I want to read that later. There's an essay he wrote for this album. And it's just like people, it's almost like a disease. Like it's just the human condition. Like that's just how we are. We may fix everything, but if we did, no matter what, we'd come full circle and end up in the same spot. Like you said, who knows how many times there's been civilizations that's made it this far and then destroyed themselves, and then it just starts over again, you know? And it's I love, though, that this song has, in 4 minutes, goes through this whole fucking process of the pretty much the end and then a new beginning, which is gonna be just like the way the last one ended, you know? It's like we didn't learn a goddamn thing, you know? It's so crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah. I did not even get that from that song. Like, as far as understanding that it's an entire story like that.
Yeah, dude.
I know he goes deep and crazy, but I never didn't realize that. That's fucking crazy, dude. I'm so glad that I'm doing this podcast with you, because I was like, there's a lot of this album that the songs are so vast and they change up so much. It was hard for me, low key, to listen to them as individual songs, because I was listening to it on repeat for so long. So there was a part, I forget which song it is, but it basically is it cuts out and then it goes back to how it sounded in the beginning of the track. I can't even fucking think of what it is. When we get to it, I'll probably remember.
I think you're talking about the memo, and then it has
that
thing
the memo
in the middle with the girl where she's like, music is my life.
Yeah,
it's like a robot. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, beautiful song. That song, yeah.
But for this one, I actually have it. This is actually kind of is a better way. I've totally forgot I have all these fucking notes. I wrote like a big ass thing so I didn't have to stumble and sound stupid. So I put for this song chronicles after the revolution and how we've destroyed the stupid way of life described in previous songs, but yet we still find ourselves building towards the same demise towards the end of this song. And then I love when he says my social life is now quite a bit less hectic. And like, cause you know, like without the social media and stuff, like, I don't know, I feel it still. And I know you probably felt it when you first moved away, that feeling of missing out, like, oh, everybody's still going out. And that's like, honestly, almost only there because of social media, you know, because you know your friends are going out and shit. Otherwise, like if you're just at home and you don't know anything, it doesn't really, you know. And like I love that. I mean, that's a super simple line, but I love that he says that, you know. It's I don't know, it's an interesting thing to bring up when you're talking about after the revolution, you know. Like it obviously was a big deal enough to bring that up, which I love, you know. So I think that is a common feeling in today's society now. It's just like, I'm missing out, or I saw you were online and you did this. Why didn't you invite me? Or, you know, I don't know, you know, I feel like there's a lot of that goes around. And, but yeah, that's, I don't know. I'm just going off a tangent.
No, I feel
but
you.
This is no, go on.
No, it's definitely like, that's, I don't know. It's kind of one of the bullshit things that I'm starting to see about social media is like, that I feel like social media is such a cushion for people that it is frustrating when I try to, or not necessarily that I try, or when I see it being used as a cushion and something that's unhealthy. And I noticed it. I've only recently started to understand like that. I have used it, I would say, in a lot of healthy ways, but I have used it in a very much so a lot of unhealthy ways too. Like, but like weird subconscious ways. Like I was never, ever really, I don't know, like thirsty for clicks and shit like that. Like back in the day when I would make YouTube videos or like we were doing twisted pictures and shit like that, like the views, like I would like pay attention, but I wouldn't. If anything, now I'm literally obsessed with checking my YouTube Studio app to see how many views I got for the day, how much money I made for that month, and how much this is getting changed. And it's just, I don't know, it's wild. It's wild to have this unhealthy connection with things and starting to see it more. And
that's what I love.
Crazy.
Yeah, I love that he says, you know, your life would be less hectic if you didn't have this thing glued to your hip all the time. You would be able to slow down and really stop and like, okay, this is my life right here, and not out there, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too. A lot of people get hung up on that. It's like my life presented needs to look as good, if not probably better presented than it actually has to be. I'm not going to be as worried with actually making my life better if I can kind of finesse it into looking better, you know? Which a lot of people do, you know? It's like instead of, I think we talked about it last time, instead of taking the time to work on yourself, it's a lot easier to just fuck it, you know, and just like try to bullshit your way through it than it is to actually take the time and look at yourself and try to make a change. It's easier to just go online and, you know, put yourself out there or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to talk shit either. Like you said, I know there are healthy ways and like it is really cool. Actually, there's a thing, I've never watched it. It's called Dissect. Adam always tells me about it. They do like albums. They do one per season, but they're doing Because the Internet right now, which I really want to listen to, by Gambino.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
yeah, they're doing that one, and there was a quote I never really had read before about how they were saying that that Gambino had said that I was gonna call him Donald, like I know.
Yeah, I mean, you hung out in his house with him in his kitchen.
Yeah, that is true. That he was saying how like the birth of the internet and everything is like a second Big Bang, you know? And it's like we still haven't even wrapped our full heads around how much this is going to change. I mean, it's already has changed life as we know it, but how much it really can in the grand scope of things. And that like he hopes we decide what to do with it and use it wisely, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just really interesting, you know, like to see it as that. I never really thought about that as it's literally the birth of a whole new, I wouldn't say species, but in a way, you know, it's like a whole new thing. Yeah, you know, and now with AI, what's to say it's not the birth of a whole new race of
If anything,
things,
it's the
people,
beginning of
whatever.
the next step of evolution for man is what I would think it is. Like that's
Yeah.
like, it's just in a different shape. It's not us biologically changing, but it is in a different. It's I don't know. It's almost like something like a I don't know, like a deeper
Yeah.
type of evolution that we almost created ourselves.
Yeah, so we created it. It's like it's like we're God, you know.
Yeah.
We created this, you know, and
This
we're
is
gonna
probably
see where
when
it goes.
it's gonna be destruction. I think. I
Yeah.
hope. I don't know what the fuck ever. Once we get to the end, we'll kind of come up with. I think we'll talk about our. I would like to talk about what I fucking really caught from the album and what it all means.
Yeah, of course. So another line in the song, it's at the end of the second verse when it's going into everything, going back to normal. It's the super ego shatters with our ideologies. The obscene injunction to enjoy life disappears as in a dream. And I love that too. Like, I think we talked about it last time. Like, what makes us think that we're supposed to enjoy life all the time and be happy all the time? Like, you know, like that's just like, that comes with our privilege and our comfort that we have, you know? That's why we think we should be happy all the time, you know? Because there are other cultures that literally work so much they don't see it that way, you know. Like some, like you know, you really don't if you're raised that way, you know. And like it's like especially over here, we have this whole that yeah, I should be enjoying my life. I should be out there like being happy. And like yeah, of course, like I mean, I believe that too. I want to be happy, but like you know, that is I love how he says that obscene injunction to enjoy life disappears because once things got real, you would see that that's just bullshit because that doesn't matter. Like at the end of it, we're just animals who need to live, you know?
Exactly.
Like, and if we got all the comfort stripped away, that enjoy life would be stripped away too, and you would just be focusing on surviving.
And you would have fucking jaguars watching you sleep.
Yep. Yeah, like that dog. You know, yes, exactly. Were you trying to
I guess, I don't
ease
know.
us into the podcast with that?
Shit. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't have any other anything else to add. I think that one thing that I do want to mention is that I really wish, or not a wish, but if I would have had more time with the album, I would have been able to write more notes as far as like the musical aspects and the orchestration. I don't know if that's a word, but the production and the musicianship behind the tracks is fucking amazing. Like whoever is behind all these fucking flutes and violins and all this other stuff, I don't know who exactly does all that, but that it's a beautiful. This album is fucking beautiful. I don't know how it's produced or how they got to this place, but it's amazing. And I think that that's one part of the album that we haven't really talked about, and we're focusing more on the lyrics, which is fine. But I just wish I could have been. I'm not good at that in the first place. I can't talk about the ambiance of the fucking pad instruments and I can't do that. So I think
the way the cowbell came in the last 2 seconds.
Yeah, I can't do that shit. But that shit sounds great.
Yeah, no, it does. This is complicated 2-3 tempo. No,
So
I don't know.
do you get any sort of, and I hate to make comparisons like this and I really don't want to do it too much, but do you get any sort of like Bob Dylan vibes or maybe even Beatles vibes from Boy John?
I would say Dylan just because it's he does have like a folk kind
for
of folk
sure.
rock sound, for sure. And I don't know about Beatles. I actually never really thought about the Rocky Raccoon until you said it, and I could totally hear it.
Yeah.
And is Day in the Life the other one?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. And we're talking about the Ballad of a Dying Man. At the beginning.
Yeah, which is the next song. So I guess we could just get into it because I think I already went through everything in that last song. I talked about about how in the end it all comes back around, and we do.
Yeah.
So in Ballad of Dying Man, you said about how. You thought in the beginning it sounded like another Beatles song. So I think it's Day in the Life and then Rocky
Isn't
Raccoon.
that wild? It's like that's I noticed that a lot.
Probably the same chords, dude.
Yeah.
Like when you think about.
I've noticed that a lot throughout the whole album. I noticed a lot of fucking Beatles sounds, and I looked it up, but I couldn't find much people saying that. But
it could just be the chords, and then like you really hear them on this, because some of the songs are super stripped, and just
but not even necessarily it's almost like his the songwriting, not the lyric writing, but the songwriting, the places where he puts the lyrics and with the music. It sounds dumb me trying to explain it, but it really is wild. Like, wow, this really reminds me of some Beatles-esque music, especially what track was it before I fucking lose this thought. When the God of Love returns, there'll be hell to pay me, or Bigger Paper Bag. I think a Bigger Paper Bag is the one that to me sounds Beatles-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of one of those thoughts I got in my mind, and then I probably created my own connections after just having that one first thought. But I'm glad that you heard that in the beginning of Ballad of a Dying Man.
No, yeah, I never noticed until you brought it up, but yeah, I could definitely hear it.
That shit instantly reminded me of Rocky Raccoon right when I first heard it. Like, I was like,
I never really, I never really compared him to the Beatles, but I could see it. Definitely, I could hear the Bob Dylan thing.
Yeah, lyrically, yeah, for sure. He just sounds like Bob Dylan if Bob Dylan knew how to sing.
Yeah. Dang, that's a diss. He's cold.
He's cool.
He's cool. Bob's cool. So what do you think? Do you have anything written for this song?
Ballad of a Dying Man? I don't. I don't have much written for anything else. I just have. I know the songs well though from here. Like I could kind of just. I didn't want to write too much notes because I just kind of really wanted to get into the thoughts of the album. But
yes,
this song right here. It might be my favorite song on the album, and that's probably like I don't know. Every song is so fucking amazing, but as far as like lyrically and just like I don't know, just like conceptually, I thought "Ballad of a Dying Man" was like I don't know. There's just so many lines in here where he talks about eventually the dying man takes his final breath, but first checks his news feed to see what he's about to miss. Like with that, what? Like the idea behind that, it's just so wild. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for this, I wrote for what I forgot I did this. I try to write what each song was about, at least what I thought it was about. This one is a man, I just put on Twitter, but like ranting and fighting the idiots of the world who rant and fight online. And it's almost like a paradox. Like he's out here ranting and fighting against all the injustice, but he's literally doing the same thing they're doing, except he's doing it to them, And then like in the end, it's like if he just had another day to put his opinion out in the world, because he's so vain that he thinks his opinion matters that much. Because that's what he says towards the end, Let's see, what is the exact words so I can say that? Where he says, so says the dying man once I'm in the box. Just think of all the overrated hacks running amok and all the pretentious, ignorant voices that will go unchecked, Like he thinks that like he just thinks so high of himself. He actually mentions in another song later on, I have it written down when we come to it. I think it's the memo, could be wrong, but where he says narcissist checks his phone, narcissist would have had a field day if he could have got online. And narcissist is this great character who was so obsessed with himself that he caught his reflection in the water, and then he actually ended up drowning because he was so in love with the way he looked. So he says like narcissist would have had a field day if he got online. And I feel like this song almost is like that. Like it's about narcissists if he was to have a Twitter and be online, and like how we all are. Like we all think our opinion's so important, especially now in the social media age. Because that's like this guy's literally dying, and he's it's like at the end when in Jim Carrey when everybody's dying and they're still obsessed with taking pictures of the celebrities. It's like he's dying and he's still obsessed with putting his beliefs out there and letting everybody know where he stands and letting everybody know that they're wrong and he's right. And it's like it's crazy because a lot of people are just like this, They think, especially like Facebook, all that, they just think their opinion carries so much weight when it's like it's just an opinion.
And it's because they're bred to think that way. Every fucking ad they get is tailored around their specific idea of who they are. They have apps conditioned around everything they like. They're constantly getting dopamine pacifiers all over their fucking phone. That's all this is a dopamine pacifier. This is a pacifier for fucking adults. That's all it is. When a baby sucks on a pacifier for comfort and they're not going anywhere, they're not doing anything, they just feel love. love. This is the same thing that we do when we're checking our feed. We're getting likes and we're posting pictures of our families, and people think that we're all happy. And I posted, all this other shit. That's really what it is. But there's also a good aspect to it when it can be like, okay, that's okay, but it can only be okay to a certain extent, like everything else. You know what I'm saying? This is beautiful. The internet, where we're going is beautiful. But if we end up a dying man and only giving a fuck about the Twitter trolls that we're fucking with, or that we are, or whoever the fuck, whatever this song means, then it's fucking a waste of time. And I think that's kind of a way of what this track's kind of talking about.
It just goes back to a lot of the idea. It's like if your online presence is, it's just like what people say with money. It's like when you die, do you take that money with you? So it's like when you die, are you gonna take your internet presence and status with you, and all your likes and follows? You're gonna take them all with you. When you die, you die alone, no matter what.
Yep.
So it's a interesting. I feel like it's a really I don't know what the word would be, biting song. Like, it's really funny, but also extremely sarcastic and supposed to be a slight at everybody. But at the same time, he almost talks about the dying man with affection, but it's obviously like sarcasm, But it's almost like affectionate the way he talks about him, like, oh, like, man, like the poor dying man. But obviously you can tell with him that it's just extreme sarcasm, like you idiots, like we're all dying, and like this is what you're still concerned about, like it's But I guess that's all I really have for that one. Yeah, that one's kind of
This whole album, low-key, just feels like all the way up until like, what is it, like Magic Mountain, which I have I have a few things to say about fucking up until Magic Mountain. It feels like from pure comedy to Magic Mountain, it low-key feels, or maybe Total Entertainment Forever till Magic Mountain. It feels like all these tracks are kind of like just different parts of the world and different perspectives of the end of the world. And you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of, I remember you telling me it's almost like an album about the end of the world in a way. And that's kind of how I looked at I started realizing that when I was listening to it over and over. Oh, this whole album is just different points of view and different stories of the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all variations of the same, like, where we're going, with society and everything. So what do you think about Birdie? Originally, Birdie wasn't one of my favorites, but since I've been listening to it a lot, it's really grown on me, and I kind of love this song.
Yeah,
too.
I actually like it a lot. I love the fucking instrumentation, like whatever you'd call it, production. I don't know. Yeah.
This song was hard for me to. It took me a lot to listen to really. I still don't know if I fully understand what he's talking about, but what I got from it was that it's Birdie. He's referring to how we talk about in songs and stuff. I think he says in the beginning about being free like a bird, and how he's gonna make the bird so envious of his life though, because he's going to make it so much better down here. And then he talks about like the world written in code and algorithm, and how I feel like it's a lot about different ideas. Like you said a second ago, different ideas about the end of the world, but this is different ideas about how the world could get better, but they're all just dumb. Like, like we're going to engineer a world. And then he says, well, hopefully they could engineer out politics, romance, and edifice. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, which is like, we're never going to be able to just make this perfect world that way. And then he talks about the people believe in like a state run by business, I think he says.
What was it?
Some envision a state governed by laws of business, and like that's kind of like what's happening now, and like I feel like I don't know, is that what you got? That's what I thought he was talking about. I was kind of laughing about the different ways we are trying to fix things without actually just fixing us,
To me, it was, what I got was the Birdie was just like humanity, low key, and he was just like, like you said, discussing the possibilities of hope, low key, and this is where the album kind of took almost like a hopeful turn, because after this, I think, not necessarily Leaving LA is not hopeful at all, but fucking. There's a couple of hopeful moments, I guess I could say. And like Smoochie to me is like a hopeful moment. Two wildly different perspectives is kind of like a hopeful moment. Even Magic Mountain. It's kind of like talking shit, low key. I feel like, but we'll get there. But yeah, I just felt like Birdie was humanity, and yeah, I really like the song. I love Birdie a lot. Yeah, I love how it sounds and just the melodies and yeah, it just all sounds really good to me.
No, no, Birdie's really good. I really like to when it actually took me a while to figure out what he's saying, but when he says life is just narrative, metadata, and aggregate, and like metadata is, I mean, you probably know, like metadata is like data that's about something, but it's not the actual thing. Like the data that goes into making the picture of a face, it's not the actual face, but it's like the code behind it. And then like aggregate is like kind of like the sum of parts. You average things out. And he's saying like life, like we see life as a narrative, but it's just metadata, which we talked about earlier, the language that is not really the thing, but we use it to describe the thing. And it's that being averaged out, and that creates our experience, which is totally driven off of this data that's not actually the thing. You know, which does that make sense? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Yeah, which is really interesting because I've heard. I think we even talked about that kind of like with Jim Carrey, how he said Charlie Kaufman said the thing about film and how it's just a series of pictures that we view as linear. You know, and it's like almost like that with this. Like the way we view life is, it's just averaged out experiences, but it's not the actual experience because it's either happening to us and we're describing it with language, or we're thinking about it in retrospect and it's all just in your head. But either way, you're never really experiencing the actual thing, you know? At least not, I don't know. Yeah.
This is the shit that like fucking made me have almost a panic attack at work.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me turn my light on real quick. Let me turn my light on.
Me too, yeah, my shit's dark.
All right.
What up?
Like right after, what did we just do, Birdie?
Yeah, now leaving LA.
Leaving LA.
I love leaving LA.
Good. Leaving LA is amazing. It's good to get some light up in right before leaving LA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, man. This song is it's amazing. I mean, it's long as fuck. I love that he talks about how long it is towards the end. I love too the role of Oedipus was a total breeze because Oedipus killed his dad and like married his mom. And later in the song too, he says his father, before he croaked, said, "Son, you're killing me," and that's all he wrote. And I know he talked about that his parents were really upset that he wanted to pursue like secular music and this other lifestyle that was like completely anti like what they wore, you know.
Yeah.
So I love that he compares himself to like Oedipus, like, you know. And then I think it's funny that it's because he marries his mom in it. And it's like, you know, there's that reference that everybody says, like, you end up marrying your own mom, you know.
Yeah, I don't know
like
that.
you've heard that before. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
But,
yeah, this song is so wild because it's so long, and not even just because it's so long, but just the setting that it sets in the first few lines of "I was living on the hill by the water tower and hiking trails, and when the big one hit, I'd have a seat to watch masters abandon their dogs and dogs run free." For some reason, those words just put this perfect idea of what that would be. And the fucking crazy thing is that we are basically separated by what he's talking about. By talking about if the big one hit, he's talking about the San Andreas Fault, and whenever that shit really explodes, which is low key something, you know, people in our area grow up thinking about and hearing about, but never really low-key taking seriously. But that is the end of the world for us. For you.
Oh, dude, that'd be fucking terrible.
I'll be okay because I'm out here. I'm on the other side.
I like how you said Nah, bro, I think about that shit sometimes. When we had those earthquakes, like maybe a year or two ago, like the kind of big one, I remember like fucking that next Saturday, I was home alone all day and I was just smoking. And I was reading all the shit because it just happened. And I was like, dude, low-key, like, almost going to have, like, a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting there stressed the fuck out. I was like, I made, like, an Amazon list. I was like, all right, chlorine tablets, this. I got to buy all this. I was like, fuck, dude. Because I was just looking around. I was like, shit, if that would have been the big one, I would have been fucked. I was like, we have, like, 4 water bottles. I was like,
well, I mean,
maybe a 2 liter of soda.
The thing is, if the big one happens, though, right there at the mountain, the San Andreas Fault, it's not just going to be a heavy earthquake for you. You guys, that part of California is going to crack and fall into the ocean. So you'll be in the ocean.
It's like I said. Yeah, it's shit. Thanks, bro. You're probably right.
That's why you got to come visit more, just in case. You better get chances.
Frankie packed the bags. We're leaving LA.
She's like, Corey, why have we been going to Mikey's house every 2 weeks all the time?
I know. Oh, I'm just gonna drive from work from your house. I'll be back later, bro.
Oh shit!
Like, hey, so you'll be in the ocean. Like, I don't even have to worry about the water.
I used to think about that a lot, especially because I live right there where my dad lives. That is the San Andreas Fault. He's basically on top of it. So that man's going into the earth instantly. They all going into God. They are going into the earth. So I used to live in that house, and at the same time there was really strong wind there. So my bed would shake, and it would feel like an earthquake sometimes in the middle of the night. But it was terrifying. So there was a lot of times throughout my life where I'd literally fucking be sweating like a little kid, worried about these earthquakes. So anytime I hear about the big one, anytime The Rock does a movie called San Andreas, wild shit like that, this shit fucks with my head again, and it takes
Every
me
time
so.
The Rock does a movie. No, dude, I like that you brought that up. Actually, that opening lines, yeah, The Rock. No, those opening lines of the song I think are amazing. Like, they really put an image in your head of like apocalyptic LA, like, you know, the end actually coming, you know, and how terrible it really would be.
How scary the end of the world would be, that you don't give a fuck about your dog and they're gone. They don't give a fuck about you. You guys are on. That is so right there.
It's
in
depressing.
and of itself is like, wow, that sets a tone.
Yeah, man. The lines that I have written are like at the very end. So if there's anything,
I'm looking.
That you want to go.
There's so much in this fucking album. I like that he says, what does he say? Anything else you can get online, a creation myth or a 45, you're going to need one or the other to survive, where only the armed or the funny make it out alive. That shit is fucking... just the fact, a creation myth or a 45, you're going to need one or the other to survive. That's basically saying you're going to need a religion, or you're going to need a fight, you're going to die.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. That line right there. It's crazy.
No, it is. This whole song it's something else. And then I like how it goes from like the end and then goes into talking about him and how how he says some 10-verse chorusless diatribe plays as they all jump ship. I used to like this guy. This new shit really makes me kind of want to die. Yeah. Where he's talking about this song, you know, like he's like literally making fun of himself, like. So I remember he did it on this radio station, and it's like what, like how long is it? Like 8 minutes, or you know?
The song,
it's pretty long, you know, and it is very slow, you know. I just think it's really funny that he brings that up at the end.
13 minutes.
13 minutes. Yeah. Oh shit, I'm way off. Yeah, dude. And then that not the last, but I think this line, it for me was like, I actually never really thought about it too much just because it's so far into the song. I guess sometimes maybe, I don't know if I get fatigued where I don't pay attention. But at the end when he says, the watermelon candy I was choking on, Barbara screaming, someone help my son. I relive it most time the radio's on, that tell me lies, sweet little white lies song. That's when I first saw the comedy won't stop for, even little boys dying in department stores. And dude, I guess for some reason I always thought when he said comedy won't stop for, he was talking about a movie called Won't Stop For. But you know, so like when I finally like really looked at it, I was like, oh shit, that's a really heavy line, saying like when he was choking, that was the first time he realized that this comedy that we call life, it's not going to stop for you no matter what. Even though this little boy is choking to death and going to die, it's going to keep going on, you know? And like that was the first time he ever noticed it. And I was like, dude, that's a really deep lesson that a lot of people don't ever realize, that this life goes on with, like the Beatles said, within you and without you, you know? It's going to keep going no matter what, you know?
That's crazy. That's so
and it doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's really sad and like
this
amazing.
this track is one of the major ones that like kind of like fuck with my head. Like it's kind of like I feel like once I did, I feel like mushrooms at one time with Brandon. I don't know if you say his name. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a very generic first name, so nobody could know it. But anyway,
Yeah. I know he's like teaching and shit. I don't want to.
Heard probably shouldn't have said that.
He's teaching at blah blah blah.
Fuck it. But since then, I mean, like those moments, there's like those deep psychedelic moments. It kind of like took away a lot of fear I used to have for death, because death was something I feared since I was a little kid, especially because I think I grew up a pastor's son. I grew up in a very strict religious household where I was told when you die, you're either going to go to heaven or hell. And if you go to hell, you're going to be tortured forever. That was what, death meant, was either one's going to happen and you better make sure you're on your P's and Q's. And to grow up thinking that way and it being like hammered into your fucking head is not good for a kid, like at all, especially a kid who grew up in like a very small town who, I was very, very gullible. But at the same time, there was, I don't know what exactly it was, but growing up, there was like always this idea, and it's crazy because I saw an interview where where Father John talks about this shit. Exactly. That he would look around and see people speaking in tongues. I kind of talked about it earlier, and he would see people like in church and just think they're all fucking crazy. This is ridiculous. And as a child, you think this, and it's like, and you kind of go along with it because you're afraid and it's just part of what it is. But when you grow up that way, and you're so close to it, and then you kind of see past it, you see beyond it. And now to this day, the church I grew up in, all those fucking pastors who were super strict and all this other shit. There's one who was like accused of sexual assault. Like the whole fucking all these other fools have done a bunch of fucking bullshit. Like all these people that I consider these like outstanding citizens or like whatever, these high level people in the church, have all had their own little scandals and bullshit, and even in this little Barstow church. So it's kind of like, oh, I was right. I was a little kid, and I never trusted any of you motherfuckers, and I was right. And
I was right.
and it's like, fuck. It's just, it was really nice to hear him talk about it and to kind of feel those feelings. It was scary as fuck though, because it's kind of like, it's hard to think about. Like, damn, I was so scared of death and embarrassment and fear and sadness and a bunch of different shit, weird, crazy shit.
Yeah.
And it's now that I'm about to be 30.
Damn.
In less than 2 months. But
30.
It's just wild to see all that, and this kind of woke up a lot of shit from my childhood that I kind of low key forgot about. But it was definitely good to revisit. And this track was one of those major ones that just kind of set in place a lot of different things already.
No, I'm glad you seem to be really into that one, because I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely. So are you anything else about that song?
Nope. Let's go.
All right, Bigger Paper Bag is the next one. And I think I said earlier about what I thought it meant is that, rich, powerful, famous, whatever, we're all fucking hiding something. We're all hiding addiction or vice or problem or something. And the only difference between you and that homeless guy in the corner that you have such a bad opinion on, who's drinking his last dollar away, the only difference is he has a small paper bag and you know what he's doing, and you have a big paper bag because you're more privileged and you can hide it. It's the only real difference between you and that guy, It's like that Kendrick song, how much a dollar costs, when that whole song is about like how he has this opinion of this guy and all this guy, it's like, what makes you any different from that guy in the corner, You're just a bad decision away from that, everybody kind of is.
Yeah.
And nobody ever thinks they are, but you're just one really bad decision away from being that person,
It's definitely, what I first got from it is like, I talked just like addiction and kind of like just drugs in general and like the usage of them. Cause like, just to kind of explain like kind of like what I felt as far as like what the tracks were, like Birdie is an idea of hope beyond everything. A bigger paper bag is kind of like an idea of using drugs to get away from, the end of the world. A birdie is the hope of getting past the end of the world. Smoochie is kind of using love to get through the end of the world. Two wildly different perspectives is trying to figure out things together to get through the end of the world. The memo is the bad people. It's all different types of aspects of the end, and trying to either deal with it or feel better from it. Maybe this is just a weird fucking stoner, perspective, but a bigger paper bag was kind of like, in my opinion, like, oh, I'm dealing with the end of the world through drugs and through not giving a fuck and through just, I don't know, just myself and just giving a fuck about getting fucked up only,
I could see that too. Yeah. Like, being, like, it's like this is the end of the world. Like, don't tell me how to live. Like, I'm going to just live as fucking crazy as I want.
Yep.
Let me see if there's anything I wanted to say from there else.
I like dance like a butterfly and drink like a fish. Fire.
Yeah, it's a great line to open up with too. Mm-hmm. And I like, I love the when he's talking about the girl, and it's easy to assume that you've built some rapport with someone who only likes you what you like yourself for. Like,
yep.
Like I took it to mean as like the women who like him because I'm Father John Misty, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to get close to somebody when they already like you for what you do,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, which happens with a lot of people. Like, you find out, I don't know, so-and-so is a poet or something, so you like them before you even meet them. So it's easy to feel like you're close to someone when you do that. And then I like how he says, you be my mirror, but remember there are only a few angles that I tend to prefer. I love that. I love that it's like, okay, I want you to, mirror me. I want you to be like me, but only the good parts of me. Mm-hmm. All the bad parts of me, I don't want to see you doing that, Mm-hmm. I only want to see you doing what's good in me, Which is like what you said, like, he's saying, like, like, this is my life, this is how I want to live it. I don't got time for that shit, like, like, if you want to act like me, you could get out. Like, I only want the good parts, And then he says, I was living on nothing but water and cake. Which I'm guessing the cake is like when you have your cake and eat it too,
It's almost like a hip hop song that he's trying to make, like a braggadocious hip hop track that he tries to throw in the middle of the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, low key, that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is, bro.
I'm fucked up. I don't give a fuck. Me and this bitch who's only, that's what he's saying. It's low key.
It could be, dude. Man, actually, we actually had a request, but it was from Frank. When I was telling him we're doing this album, dude, his album before this, I Love You, Honey Bear, is originally I wanted to do that. I actually think we'd actually get even more topics from that one, because that one's all about his relationship with his wife and love. But, like, the way he talks about this, he does that to, like, a relationship, and, like, the songs are fucking, I don't even know, man. They're fucking beautiful. They're amazing. They're, like, dark. They're just like perfect. And then, but in the middle of that too, towards the end, he has a song called The Ideal Husband. And now that you mention it, that's kind of what this reminds me of. And The Ideal Husband is like, he's like this asshole who doesn't do anything, does drugs, is always at home and cheats on her all the time. But it's called The Ideal Husband, and it's like he's like this crazy drug addict, and like that's kind of what I could see that with the bigger paper bag. That's kind of what that is too.
That's kind of
that shit talking. Yeah.
But it's all just to hide that, the fear of death.
Yeah.
And
the
inevitable Armageddon.
I feel you. I like
low
that.
Key,
I like
low
that.
key. That's just kind of like my idea of the album.
No. I like that. That's cool. Yeah. I might have been reaching.
And the very end of the album feels like the end of the universe. No disrespect.
Yeah. None taken, bro. None taken. But are you good? You want to go to the next song?
Yeah.
All right. So When the God of Love Returns, which I love this song, and I love that it's like a riff on, like most religions, like their God is considered the God he's loving and forgiving and stuff. But I like that he's saying, if the real God of love returns, if there was actually a God of love, that we'd have hell to pay, because this God that we all say brings love brings war and separation between people, and it really does.
like religion is that, you know, it separates people. It brings about wars historically.
Yeah.
It's done a lot of terrible shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I just love this song. It's funny too. I love when he says the pale horse looks a little sick, saying, Jesus, you didn't leave a lot for me. If this isn't hell already, then tell me what the hell is. And you know, the pale horse is supposed to be the horse of death. And I like how he's telling Jesus, like, you know, you didn't leave anything for me, you know? Like you did, you know what you did. They're killing themselves, you know.
Yeah. He's basically, this is basically like the one of the main questions I've had. Should I wait?
No. My bad. I'm listening. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, well, I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, okay, yeah. So this song right here, it really feels like fuck you to God, low key.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You know, and it's so, because it's almost like how dare you create us knowing that we're fucking messed up and broken and weak.
Yeah,
and then judge us for fucking falling to the weaknesses you gave us. It's a very simple and basic question that people have with Christianity, and it's always just like, well, God gave you the option to be good or bad, and it's like, why? Like, okay, why? I get that. I get it's an option, and then I could do good, but it feels much better to do bad when you're here. So why the fuck would he do this? So why is this fucking sick fuck just playing a little game with us? Just like, hey, it's going to be good. And if you don't be good, guess what? You're going to be tortured forever.
No, dude.
What the fuck? You know?
Yeah, it is. Like he's like pissed at God. Like it doesn't make sense. Like he says, we're the earth's most soulful predators. And then I like how he says, try something less ambitious the next time you get bored, you know, like, cause that's what he's saying. It's like, what, you were so bored that you decided you're going to make humans imperfect and then just watch us all kill each other until the violent end, you know? And it's like, next time do something a little less ambitious, make a dog or something.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
We just want light in the dark, some warmth in the cold, and to make something out of nothing. Sounds like someone else I know.
I love the ending. Yes, the ending is amazing.
Damn.
I love how it's like, oh man, it's such a diss to God, you know? Like, I feel like it's just a diss, like just such a huge diss towards that belief, you know?
Yeah.
And just to make something out of nothing sounds like someone else I know, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like a diss at like
the
the
way he
religious
says it.
people and God. Yeah, it's the way he says it. Yeah. And the way it ends the song, it's such a perfect ending.
When I saw him perform this at Coachella, I was like, oh my God. Like, there's a lot of this song that I was able to grasp better when I saw it.
This song is pretty straightforward. Yeah.
No, but like when I saw him live, I felt like I was able to like get it. I got it a little bit better too, because he performs. Yeah. Him performing is amazing. By the way, he sounds almost better live. Like,
dude,
to see him sing it seems like it's like an experience.
And I love how like he like has the movements too. It's like almost like sassy and like sarcastic too. The way he like I don't know,
moves,
like prances around the stuff. Yeah, it's fucking dope.
There's a lot of Radiohead comparisons I could make too with this guy.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's great. Yeah. Amazing. So Smoochie would be the next one, which I really don't.
Fucking beautiful. I love this song.
Yeah, I love it too. I don't have a lot to say on it. It is about his wife. I remember I'd read that that's like a name they call themselves. And there is one line that I love. That's that she says something perfect, like concealment feeds the fear. And Frankie actually just told me about this 2 days ago. The last album when he, it's about his wife, you know, I Love You, Honey Bear. I guess he was worried when he was writing it that it was going to sound like too sentimental. So the love songs would end like super crazy. But then, you know, she kind of like was telling him like, why are you scared of that? Like, there's no reason to be scared of like burying yourself out there, you know? And then like, that's why I love that he says that. I don't know if that's a reference to that, but I love that she tells him, you know, to conceal it, it feeds the fear. Like, it's better to just let it out and be open. Like, I feel like this is one of the few super positive moments in the album, you know?
Yeah.
Where, it's like, just get it off your chest, you know, like, and, you know, everything will be all right. And I think he talks about that in the essay I want to read at the end about how the whole world's bullshit and chaos, and you're lucky enough if you could just find someone that you could spend that little bit of time with, you know? You know, even though you both know it's bullshit and it's going to have a violent end. If you could at least enjoy that end with somebody, it'll be a little worth it, you know?
Yep, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. It sounds a bit like, I don't know. I think when I heard the concealment fuels the fear? Concealment feeds the fear. Concealment feeds the fear. Yeah. That shit hit home, like, because a lot about introvertness and stuff like that. So that shit, like, that's kind of what I got from it. It was like any sort of fear you have of like going out, or any sort of fear you have, just like you said. Yeah, you fucking run away from it. It just gets bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of got like low key, almost like a mocking type of vibe. Maybe not mocking. That's a bad way to say it, but almost like a nihilistic perspective of love too. And when I heard this, just because of the other songs that surround it and the idea of the album, and maybe just the way I was perceiving it, so depressing. I kind of perceived it as like smooth. The way he just sings smoochy and shit like that. To me, it kind of felt almost like la la la, we're in love. Well, let me just experience this love, and it's beautiful when I'm experiencing it, but it's also kind of futile and kind of like silly. That's kind of what I got it from it. I don't think that's maybe the case the more I look at it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that with him though. But I think if you heard "I Love You, Honey Bear," like it's just he obviously loves the shit out of this girl, dude.
Yeah.
That's why we should do it, because there are ways that he describes things and talks about her that, I don't know, like it's just such a beautiful way to talk about somebody, and it's like sometimes super funny and kind of like almost seems like it could be taken negative, but the way he's singing it, it's not that way. Like, I don't know, dude. It's like it's a really amazing album, and I think you really like it.
We should do it in February, middle February.
Dude, we should actually. It would be, that would be amazing for a Valentine's Day one.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a great album. Let's do that, actually. I'm 100% down. Yeah. And that one, actually, I think we could even get even more ideas out of that one. That one is like, I don't know. Just it's a different topic than we've covered, too, because it's very much just about love and relationships, which would be, I think, an interesting podcast.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm so fucking down to listen to more. Dude, I listened to God's Favorite Customer like 3 times already.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like it. It's different. I do like it. The songs are a little, I don't know if they're more simple, or I don't know. I don't understand them fully, some of them, or I just don't know exactly what he's talking about. But I do like it.
There's a lot to dig into on these ones. The lyrics aren't as straightforward. It feels like he's saying
exactly.
It has a lot more deeper type of shit, but it has a lot to do with like, from what I've heard and read and stuff like that. It has a lot to do with just like his upbringing and his religious upbringing and his questions beyond of that.
Yeah.
And then he has these 2 tracks called 2S and 2R that just came out. Those are amazing.
I was just about to tell you about those, though. Yeah. I love both of those. Yeah. They're really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, I've been going deep, bro. I'm telling you. Remember I texted you? I said I can't listen to this shit anymore. All I did is put on God's Favorite Customer. I was like, I still got to listen to some Father John Misty.
Bro, I'm telling you, if I would recommend it, just because it took me a while. I mean, you're already into him though, so it might not. But it took me a while to get into I Love You, Honey Bear. But once I got into it, it's like still to this day probably like top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 albums of all time. Like even over this one, which I love this one, but that one is just like fuck, dude. Like some of the songs, just like I was like, damn, like I don't know. It's just it's amazing. I think you really appreciate it too, especially because you appreciate the writing and like all that, and the writing is like top notch on that one. And there's a lot more. I feel like there's a lot less space in the songs and a lot more lyrics, Like this one does have a lot, but there's also a lot of space in the album, and that one's more, I don't know. All the songs have a lot of lyrical content, and they're all extremely, extremely interesting. Yeah, I think you'll love it, dude. Like every song is amazing.
Hell yeah, for sure. I'm down. I'll definitely.
But so the next song would be 2 Wildly Different Perspectives. Which I think is a very straightforward, in a way, type song, just saying that every side has its opposite side, and it's kind of funny when you look at the extreme opposites. They're really not that different,
Yep. There's not much to say there. Yeah, like you said, I think it's a beautiful fucking song. I think that I don't know if you heard, but Donald Trump agreed and said he wants to do the debate with Joe Rogan and
I saw
Joe
that.
Biden for 4 hours. Donald Trump said he's down. So I think what should happen before they debate is Joe Rogan should sit down with them and then just play two wildly different perspectives on a Bluetooth speaker and just let them listen to it, and then have the debate. This is the type of song that might just change the world.
Dude, it's
I'm being funny, but seriously, it's a beautiful fucking song. I really like it, and it really could. It really is like says a lot about people. That it just reminds me a lot of like the way politics are now. And it's wild that in 2017 he had already understood it, kind of.
Yeah, no, the dude, like the one side says kill them all, and the other side
Yeah.
says line the killers up against the wall. Like, man, it is. It's just, I feel like this song is straightforward in the message, which is like, yeah, like we said, like, yeah, it's like sarcastic, the name, too wildly different, but when really you look at them, they're not that different, they're pretty similar, especially when you're not looking at the middle and you're looking at both extremes. Like both extremes are not that different from each other in the long run. Yeah, it's definitely a song.
I think it's definitely worth bringing up again too. Smoochie, especially, two wildly different perspectives, especially too, are both musically fucking amazing. They're like, I don't know what it is on Smoochie. It's like violins or some sort of string instrument that's used in this little break, and it's like it's almost like Hawaiian. It's fucking beautiful. Two wildly different perspectives on both sides. That I don't know that part. That little, I don't know, if not duet, that harmonization is beautiful. And yeah, I don't want to the replayability, dude. I could listen to this with anyone and they would love it, because it's not only saying crazy fucking beautiful lyrically shit, but the songs are fucking amazing. It's weird.
Yeah, and the more I feel like all his songs, in my opinion, are like they have that replayability. The more you listen, the better they kind of get every time.
That's true.
Like, oh shit, yeah.
So
you want to hit the memo?
Yep, I'm down.
This is actually one of my favorites too. I would say it starts out amazing. I love how it talks about how like art and like just kind of the absurdity of our culture and like what we value as art or what we see as this. And I love how he says at the cultural low watermark, if it's fraud or art, they'll pay you to believe. Because it's like it's true. Like you see sometimes what is considered high art, or I don't know, paintings sometimes that are kind of just nothing. It's all the perspective of it. And it's like not really anything. Like like you've seen like the splatter type paintings that go for millions. Yeah, that's what I love. He talks about he's gonna get a bed sheet from an amputee and say like a monkey painted it, and everybody's gonna love it because oh my god, it's I don't know, it's just our culture.
He described. I watched the interview he did with the dude from Apple who always does all those interviews. Is it Apple that he's with? I don't know. You know who he is. He does all those interviews. Anyways, I watched the interview with that when he talked about the album, and he talked about the memo, and he said that, and this is one of the ones that I didn't want to bring up too much from that. I didn't really even want to pay too much attention to it. I was like, I'll hear what I hear. But I remember him talking about the memo and saying that he just really liked the idea of these fucking people creating this memo and releasing it, of just letting people you want to brainwash people, you want to control people, well, this is how. And that's what he described this song as.
Yeah,
and
that's what it sounds like. Just like the second verse too, when he talks about the band, and he's like, just between you and me, they're just like the ones before. With the standards lower, another concert goer will pay you to believe.
Yep.
Yeah, no. And this is the song actually where he says narcissist would have had a field day if he could have got online.
Yeah.
Which I said is like the ballad of a dying man.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
When you start hearing "You're Enjoying the Chill Winter Playlist," that kind of fucked with me. That would trip me out, and I wasn't expecting that throughout this. And it was like,
dude,
it was just
I
kind of like,
love that.
Man, it was an idea of like, this is the brainwashing he's talking about. Like, I hear all this other shit. I hear these type of things and sounds and stuff like that, and I don't second guess it. And like what he's talking about, it's just kind of like a part of he's just like, it kind of like a reminder. Oh, this is how you're being brainwashed. But I don't know.
And it's almost like he kind of talks about it in this part about how we're almost. We're doing it to ourselves now. Now it's like we're helping them do it by telling them like that part exactly. They say rate yourself. Do you listen to do you normally listen to music like this? Can we recommend some similar artists? Like, you know, and then it says your feedback's important, and it's like that's why, because the more they can tailor it to you, the more it's like I've always thought this too, how like Target and like companies do that where they tailor what you would want to maybe buy, so they send you those, you know, ads for that stuff. Yeah. And it's like if our world increasingly goes that route, how do you ever find anything new if everything's going to be constantly tailored to you perfectly to your liking?
Yeah.
How do you deal with when things aren't that way, you know? And like I don't know. I love that he adds this in, and then I like how he says, "Are you feeling depressed?" And then the girl says, "This guy just gets me." Yeah. And it's like our standards are so low that him just saying, "Do you feel depressed?" Everybody's like, "Oh my God, he relates with me." But it's like, dude, no, everybody's like, it's just a crazy. I think it's a crazy part in the middle of it too, and the way it comes in too is almost like scary and like I don't know, it feels kind of haunted, you know, like the way it does and the way he sings it, like it's really good.
So you've seen him? Have you ever seen him do this song live? Because I feel like singing "Caffeine in the Morning, Alcohol at Night" would be a beautiful.
I think he did. Live. I think he saw it because we saw him by himself at the Fox Theater too for this album. I'm pretty sure he did do it.
I just fucking could imagine just the crowd just loving that part. I could just hear the crowd singing it.
Dude, he's just so good live. Yeah. There's another part I wanted to bring up before that too, that I really like, where he says, "And friends, it's not self-love that kills you. It's when those who hate you are allowed to sell that you're the glorious shit the entire world revolves around." And I love that he's almost saying, like, at least what I took it to mean as that it's not loving yourself and confidence and being confident that's going to be your downfall, which a lot of people will say, don't be cocky, don't be this. That's not what's going to be your downfall. What's your downfall is when you allow these people to inflate your ego so much that the day they leave you, you're going to be done. Like, that's almost like, it's almost like they do it on purpose. It's almost like, okay, we're going to feed you so much. And then when we pull away, you're going to fiend for us because you want that attention back. And I love how he says it's not the self-love that's going to kill you. It's when those who hate you are allowed to tell you that you're amazing in the center of the world because they don't really love you. They're just, because then he says, and you're the eater and not the eaten. Like, they're telling you you're the one eating. You're the one that's providing them with the content. Yeah, like as him as a superstar, like you're making the money, but really you're being eaten alive too by them, by the fans, by everything. Like, it's just such I feel like a complex idea that it's like, that love, while love can be amazing, they can also use love to destroy you too, you know?
Love is weakness.
Yeah, you know? It's like, we love you so much that we're going to drain you to death, you know? Like, we want it all. We want every part of you. That's how much we love you. Like, have you ever seen Mother, dude?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I've seen that. That'd be a good movie to do.
Like, when they rip the baby apart, it's like that, you know? It's like, we all love you so much, we want a piece of you, you know?
Oh,
and it's like, it's great. That part is... Dude, I remember seeing in the movies and everybody just went quiet. It was like, I was like, oh shit.
Holy
just
shit.
killed baby Jesus. At the end of the song too, I think is worth mentioning too, that all I need is a couple winners to get every loser to fight in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like, because it's true. Like, all you need is a couple people to make it famous, and that we could parade and make everybody think that it's possible. You know.
Yeah.
And then it keeps everybody in this perpetual. I never knew that he said that though about the song. That it's supposed to be a memo about how to brainwash, and that actually makes it make a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
That's why he's talking this way. Like, yeah, like all we need is a couple people to look like they can do it, and then this will keep everybody in this foot race forever that they can never actually really attain.
Yep.
You know, besides the couple that we every once in a while allowed to break through, you know?
Yeah.
It's it's interesting. I like that, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Magic Mountain would be next. I'm growing old.
Bruh.
This, I guess, is based off of a book. I haven't read it, and I didn't really dig too much into it. I didn't have time by Thomas Mann, but
I could read it, the little part here. I kind of looked into it a little bit. Basically, the title and themes in this track borrow from the novel The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann.
I feel like the key, at least what I took from it, the key like concept of it was that Magic Mountain is this great place where
you can have a good time and party, and like you said, the Dionysian stuff like that, which is like Dionysus, which is like the god of like wine and like revelry and party and shit. And that's what I took it as. Like, he's on this mountain and he feels good on this mountain, and it's an endless party, and he loves it, and he never really wants to go back, and he'd grow old. Because at the end he says, so the longer I stay here, the longer there's no future. So I'm going to just grow old up here, you know? Like, but yeah, I'm living up here and like living this lifestyle that's maybe feels good, but there's no future up here, and I'm never going to be anything more than this piece of shit up here, but I'm going to stay up here and grow old. But I don't know. That's what I took it as, you know?
I took it as like it was, I don't know what the fuck that story or whatever that shit was talking about.
Yeah.
But I took it as it was, I guess, talking about heaven, like the idea of heaven. And it just kind of being like this idea of you're growing old on Magic Mountain. And it just sounded like so like, I don't know. I took this album really weird, I think. I took it different, and my ideas were different than what it was really supposed to be told, and maybe that's a good thing. But I got the overall idea, but similar. But to break songs down, it's kind of, I don't know. I took different perspectives, and because I haven't really gotten into all the lyrics and like the history or whatever of the songs, I think it took me a fucking. I just took it. Certain songs I took for something different, but I think the idea of you know, Magic Mountain being heaven kind of makes sense, low key, and it being some sort of like a heaven type place. But one thing I do want to say is that when I heard him singing on Magic Mountain, I just imagine people on roller coasters at Magic Mountain, like in slow motion, every single time, singing it, like all happy, just on Magic. Like all I could picture anytime I heard the song. So that's like my only note. Yeah.
And maybe we should when everything opens up, we'll make a music video for it.
Bro, if I had time, I wanted to actually get footage of people on roller coasters and put them in slow motion with some like tint, like color it, and like make it look all epic, and then put this song behind it. Just have like a little 5-10 second clip of it, so you'd see what I meant.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll still do it one day.
Yeah, I'd still be interested in seeing that. All right, so last song.
Yeah, man, this song sucks, man. No, I like it, but it's so fucking just.
No, dude, I love the way it ends, though. I love the more or less the human experiment will reach its end, but I look at you, and as our second drinks arrive, the piano player is playing This Must Be the Place, and it's a miracle to be alive. Because, like, you know, like, it's still really depressing, but I like that it ends on, like, that idea that, like, hey, well, I have you, and we enjoy each other, and right now we're both feeling good, we're drinking, and even if the rest of this world is bullshit and chaos and sucks and inevitably we're all gonna die a horrible death, at least we both feel good right now together, and it feels like a miracle at this moment, at least, you know. And I think that's what life's about, right? You know, like those little moments where you're like, okay, it's worth it, you know.
I see my nihilistic perspective was just still like, I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't even think that way. I heard the lyrics and like I heard what you said, but like the parts of that song, but it still kind of was just like, it was more so like it reminded me of Titanic when they're playing music and just letting, and I guess that's exactly what you're saying. But I guess my idea was just less hopeful than that with this song. It was kind of like, fuck it. And I guess that's exactly what you just said. But yeah, I don't know. It still scared me. It still scared me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect way to describe it. It is. It's like that moment in Titanic where it's like, okay, we're all going down with this ship. Yeah. Let's just play our tunes and try to enjoy these last moments together, you know? Yeah. Which is really, like you said, too, it is. It's very depressing and down, too. Like, there's not much hope in it, but there is a little bit, which I like that he does that, though. He does, because that's kind of like, in the end, what it is, like, with life, you know? There's always that little bit of hope, and a lot more times it seems hopeless than it does hopeful, but those little moments could be worth it, you know. I love it. I think it's a really good ending to what the rest of the album was about, you know. Yeah, for sure, man. I fucking this took a lot out of me. It reminded me a lot about my childhood. It was a great fucking follow-up episode after the Jim Carrey one. Shout out to Jim Carrey and Dana Vachon, by the way, who listened to our podcast or watched the podcast. I can't believe it. That was fucking wild for those who are this far into the podcast. It was the best.
So Thank you to them. Thank you to you guys, whatever. But fucking, it was a great. Before I get off track, it was fucking. It was a fucking. Yeah, great album, and I'm glad we listened to it. I'm glad I got into it. I am a Father John Misty fan now for sure. I cannot fucking wait to see him live if we can ever see him live again. But yeah, man, thanks for showing me this album. And
there are some. I was gonna say there are some things I'd like to bring up about the cover because we didn't really get into that.
That's true.
Like, if you've seen the cover, the front is just like a bunch of just craziness. Like the hills are on fire. Everybody's just taking part in all types of debauchery and all that. But on the back is also, actually on the front, there's actually a skeleton pissing on a flame, which I thought was probably a reference to the memo,
Oh, okay.
And then, but on the back, though, it's the back cover is actually a drawing of an Escher drawing, MC Escher. I think it's MC Escher.
I've never seen this. Okay.
And Escher, he does like infinite portraits. So it's like the stairs, those like infinite stairs where they don't ever look like they have an ending. And that's why it's really cool that on the back, he has all the people walking these stairs. Like we're in this infinite loop. And then also in the very bottom right, which I never noticed, on the back, there's a guy. He's the only guy in the whole picture, at least from what I could tell. I looked that he's going to kill himself. He has a gun to his head, and he's like, right. You could tell that he just finished writing this musical piece. So I think it's supposed to be him, and he's sitting in the bottom corner with a gun to his head because now he's like finished it. Yeah.
That's the first thing I noticed. That's wild.
Yeah. And I never noticed that before. And I was like, oh shit, like that must be him,
Yeah. This is crazy.
This would also, it is a little long, but like the essay that he wrote on it, I don't know if you were able to read it. Did you ever read it?
The essay? No, I didn't. Did you send it to me?
No, I didn't. Okay. I meant to, and I forgot. I could read it. It is a little long, though. Do you think I should read it, or should I just send it to you?
It's up to you. It's up to you, Mike.
Fuck it. I'll read it. It would be a good, I guess, way to end this with his words, I guess, about the album.
Let's do it.
All right. So it starts with a quote by Ecclesiastes. What? Look at you,
baby,
college.
Come on now. Come on, not college. That's a book in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Shit, baby. You know who you're talking to. This is Father John Mikey over here, baby. Come on now.
All right, cool. Okay, so it says, what has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there's nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new, it has been already in the ages before us. There's no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be among those who come after, which is kind of like the idea that you were talking about earlier, about there being many, societies before that have failed. Okay, and then that's the quote, and then here gets into what Father John wrote about it. Pure comedy is the story of a species born with a half-formed brain. The species' only hope for survival, finding itself on a cruel, unpredictable rock, surrounded by other species who seem far more adept at this whole thing, and to whom they are delicious, is the reliance on other, slightly older, half-formed brains. This reliance takes on a few different names as their story unfolds, like love, culture, family, etc. Over time, and as their brains prove to be remarkably good at inventing meaning where there is none, the species becomes the purveyor of increasingly bizarre and sophisticated ironies. These ironies are designed to help cope with the species' loathsome vulnerability and to try and reconcile how disproportionate their imagination is to the monotony of their existence. So I'll keep going. If you ever want me to stop, let me know.
Oh, it's good. Right. I'm chilling, yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they expect light in the dark, warmth in the cold, and to make something out of nothing. Cooperation among the species to achieve these goals eventually yields a worldview wherein some among the species believe that there are individuals for whom this type of work is maybe ill-suited. The contribution of the ill-suited is of a more abstract, inspirational nature. The ill-suited began to make subtle distinctions between themselves that extend beyond eaten by a bear or not eaten by a bear. These distinctions involve do-itness, cool face, and bodiness. Do-itness, cool face, and bodiness. Craftiness, etc. An arrangement emerges where these traits can be traded in for better-thanness. This better-thanness really starts to run rampant, and the species begins to wonder if there isn't a sky man in the sky who is perhaps the source of all better than this. It seems like a pretty good explanation for why the species is so important. Skyman pretty much runs the show for a really, really long time, and his inner circle of better thans gets increasingly smaller and smaller, even though by the end of his reign, everyone in the species considers themselves one. Unfortunately, there are some better thans who get together and decide that one way of better than this is better than other better thans better than this, and teach their little half-formed brain babies as much. Most who interpret this distinction as me's versus not me's. Not me's eventually come to encapsulate everyone that is not a single me at any given time, and this paves the way for incredibly distasteful behavior until the species arrives at a place of such alienation and fear, there's really nothing so horrible that one of them wouldn't do to the other. To deal with this less than ideal state of affairs, which seems suspiciously incompatible with how progressive and evolved they are by this point, they set about to entertain themselves into an oblivion with politics, sex, finance, philosophy, and other games of war. This they do until they are so numb and the idea of any not me so untenable that they are blissfully incapable of noticing they're all dead. This happens more or less on an infinite loop until the end of time. Something like that. Imagine, if you will, as the album starts, that you're way out in space looking at... This is exactly actually what I feel like when you hear the first song. This is actually perfect description right here. Imagine, if you will, as the album starts, that you're way out in space looking at the Earth, and though it's impossible to fall through space, you start a free fall anyway in the direction of the bright blue marble. For the next 75 minutes, you plummet towards Earth, losing more and more perspective on what an abstract and impermanent place our planet is. How predictably we step on the same rakes, slip on the same banana peels over and over again through the ages, quickly becoming more and more immersed in the very messy business of being a human. The dubious privilege of being here, the elusiveness of meaning, true love in its habitual absence, random euphoria, and the inexplicable misery of others, truth and its more alluring counterfeits, the sophistication of answers that don't make any sense, the barbarism of our appetites, lucky breaks and injustice, faith and ignorance, crippling mind-numbing boredom, and the terror of it all ending too soon. Before you know it, you've delicately crash-landed and find yourself lying on your back, looking up at the stars. If you're lucky, with someone you love, even if just for a day, a year, a lifetime. Though just an hour has passed, you have no reflection of what the Earth looked like from the far-flung reaches of space, nor how simple it all seemed a matter of minutes ago. I know everyone doesn't feel the same about what's going on right now. What for some is clearly garden-variety violent white nationalism serving as a catch-all for any number of paranoia-induced anti-fantasies foisted upon the poor and uneducated precisely by the ideologues bent on manufacturing voters who can be manipulated into voting against their own interests by making good and sure they remain poor and uneducated before cravingly blaming their problems largely on people bearing distinctions like race, gender, and sexuality so people forget everything that's good about the American experiment. Is to others an opportunity to wrench the country back from the influence of hypocritical corporate tyrants bent on enslaving our minds with spineless liberal rhetoric in order to justify wiping out the jobs of decent people so they can fulfill their fey utopian dream of an impossible global community designed to profit only its architects, probably banking consultoriums, pedophile rings, and definitely the Illuminati.
Damn.
This, what were you saying?
I said damn.
I know. This album does not espouse either of those views. Both of those views take for granted a certain degree of sophistication, or at least a knack for cooperation that I'm absolutely convinced humans do not possess, not to mention some kind of innate logic to the proceedings here on Earth, which make a much better case for being some kind of demented joke than anything else. The terrifying reality concerning the dilemma above is everything is chaos and no one really is in control of anyone or anything, which is, I feel like, one of the main ideas of this, you know? Mm. Whole thing is it's chaos and no one's really in control of anyone or anything. But what about the well-documented history of humans making life a living hell for other humans since time began? There is no intellectual, political, or spiritual explanation that will ever satisfy anyone for longer than a moment, least of all this, the only explanation with any dignity. The explanation that accuses both our instincts for compassion and liberation, the explanation that we can either accept and move forward together or keep screaming to our respective heavens, why God, why? Things are the way they are because this is how we, the human race, want them. This is how we want it. hold the motherfucking phone. Josh Tillman, you have said and done some stupid fucking things since we've known you, but this is too much. Now the liberals and the conservatives are both outraged because that is a sentiment that is so profoundly insensitive to the ways in which the other side is clearly wrong in objective ways of regarding basic decency. But what's the alternative? We're either all complicit in this purist comedy, or the people who aren't to blame are at war with the people who are to blame until everyone is dead. Simple as that. Is progress possible? What does it look like? The conversion of everyone to our respective beliefs? Well, we've seen how that typically goes. The destruction of everyone who fails to conform? That's not it. The erection of institutions with the power and infrastructure to enforce a rule of law with the good of as many as possible at heart? Not much evidence for that panning out. What I recommend is this. We return to the Vedic cycle and submit ourselves to the likelihood that many of us will end up getting eaten by bears. It's only natural. What if instead of imbuing our expectations for the quality of our lives to include perpetual happiness, dream fulfillment, excessive painlessness, existential certitude, material wealth, and all variety of romantic stimulation, we were just grateful for every day that didn't involve getting eaten by a bear? What if progress only meant literally progressing from one day to the next without getting violently dismembered by a 9-foot-tall, 500-pound grizzly? The irony here, of course, is that many more humans than we'd like to think, most of whom are not reading the interminable liner notes to a folk rock album, do live in a daily perpetual fear of getting killed by a mammal far more terrifying than a bear. And I think you know the one to which I refer. This form of mammal attack is made all the more nightmarish by virtue of the fact that the mammal in question kills purely ideologically. Bears kill because they're hungry. They're very reasonable in that way. So maybe we should submit ourselves to their authority. Bears we can trust. Bottom line is that as long as we expect to live in such a way, immune to the natural laws of this godless rock that govern everything else here, human existence will continue to be a cruel joke. I fear, however, that it is too late for us to go back into the natural order. We have no desire to return to our primal scene. We like the way things are. We've got sandwiches when we're hungry, airplanes for when we want to go somewhere, social media when we want our voices to be heard by all God's creation. We know that these magical conveniences come at a staggering price, and that excess for the few is based on the scarcity of the many, but that's why we invented the business of globalization. We've already built the wall. It's a great, great wall that goes up to the heavens and is transparent as museum glass. It's a beautiful wall that winds surgically through nations, cities, neighborhoods, and sometimes even homes. It is a globe within a globe, and those who live in its interior are as clueless to what's happening on the other side as we are to what's happening right now on the far side of Mars. There's only one creature that can penetrate that wall, friends, and it is bears. Bears can smash through the glass like a pitcher of sugar water through a brick wall. The equalizing revolution of bear justice is coming too, sooner than you think. As it gets hotter and hotter, they're coming. They're coming into our neighborhoods. They're coming into our schools, into our churches.
Can you start seeing jaguars instead of bears?
All right.
Just replace it.
All right, yeah. Into our banks, into our places of business, into our governments, into our beds. The joke is that the best we can do is to keep on keeping on, which we've proven ourselves pathologically adept at. We're going to have the planet. We're going to save the planet, all right. And it will be a glorious sacrifice, just like the Skyman we invented showed us how.
Oh, that was it? No bears?
Panthers, man. Yeah, and then it says bears, man, at the end, but I would say panther. Or what did you say? Jaguars, man.
Is that what he says? Oh, bears, man.
Yeah. I like that he says, though, that we're going to save the planet and it's going to be a sacrifice, just like the Skyman showed us how, like the Bible teaches us. Like, that's how we're going to die. We're going to kill ourselves,
Yeah. That's fucking
But
wild,
yeah, man.
dude.
That was, I know that was a little heavy.
That was a perfect, that explained it better than we could have done.
Yeah, that's why I felt like that would be a perfect way to end it, because it's his explanation of the album,
Holy shit.
And
dude.
anybody who wants to read that, it's you could look it up on Rap Genius. I'm pretty sure you can find it other places too. That's where I read it from. It's on the album too, in the album, the record, but if you don't have that, you can look it up online. Pure comedy essay. And yeah, man, this was another good one. What are we doing next?
Good shit. Good shit.
What's the move?
I don't know.
Let me know.
We'll put it in the beginning of the video. You guys will see. I'll do my little intro, so they'll know by this part.
Okay.
So, and I'll let you know. Like, give me like an hour. I have a couple of ideas. But Either way, thank you guys 100% for watching, like, rate, and all that good shit. Thank you guys so much. I'm Mikey.
I'm Corey, and thanks for joining us. Join the Discord. Give us suggestions. Because I feel like you and me are both running thin on suggestions, you know?
Yeah. I think we have too many suggestions is what it is.
Yeah, that is true.
It's hard
but
to choose.
I'd be really interested, though.
Yeah.
I really want somebody to, like, comment, like, with
True.
a real suggestion, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, because we've gotten a couple that were, like, a little too much, like, a show and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I want something, like, I don't know.
I feel you.
I don't know. There was one dude who said in the comments he was going to send us, like, some PDF, but he never sent it, so.
Holy shit.
But we'll
All
see.
right. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, yeah,
See you
let me
guys
know,
next time.
dude. I'll send you the audio right now.
For sure.
We'll see you later, everybody.